There was a lot of, divide amongst Supernatural fandom about how the show ended and what happened with your character. And, there's a divide.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're aware of this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
I don't think there's a wrong opinion about it. I honestly don't. I think that if the people that have problems with it are validated, and I think the people that enjoyed it are validated. I was in both camps. I spent time in both camps. And this is no secret. When the very first time we had ever heard what was going to happen at the end of the season, Jared and I flew out to LA, and we went to the writer's room before the season started, and we all sat down, and they essentially pitched us how they wanted to wrap up the show, which was the first time in Supernatural history that had ever happened.
And what was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was, I don't like it.
You said that right up.
No, I didn't. I was
trying to be respectful.
I was trying to be respectful, so I said, okay, okay. I didn't give them an overwhelming response. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to sleep on it,
right?
Because this is a big thing. Like, I don't want to mess this up.
14 years.
This is in the making. Yeah. So I slept on it, and about a week went by, and I went to my wife, and I was like, I'm just really bumping on this. Like, it's just not. And she was like, is it because Dean dies? And I'm like, maybe I'm just too close to that character, and I just don't want to see him go. And I for some reason, I always thought that if someone was going to go, it would be Sam. as honestly as kind of the, as the martyr.
Martyr. I was thinking martyr. Yeah.
And Dean would then be left to just kind of stumble through the rest of his life,
right,
mourning his brother and his lost family, and it would be, maybe a sad existence, but that's just how it happened. Or we would both go, like a Butch and Sundance kind of a thing,
right?
But me going and him continuing on, I just didn't. It just didn't sit well with me, and so
what'd you say?
So, my wife, in all her infinite wisdom, said, you should talk to somebody outside of this that understands the world. And that was Eric Kripke, who created the world, who created the characters, who had been gone since season 5. He left after season 5. So he'd been gone for 10 years. But he still knew the show clearly and kept tabs on it. So I called him, and he had not heard what they were planning. And so I told him, and he did the same thing I did. He was like, let me sleep on this, and let me just kind of get some clarity on it, and I'll phone you tomorrow. I said, great. So he ended up sending me this very incredibly well-written email explaining why he thought this was a great ending. And it just put things in perspective for me. And then from then on, I was on board.
Really? Yeah. So you needed an outside source.
I just need somebody.
Neil gave you that little insight to get somebody who's separate from it, who still knows it, but
who's not so close. Yeah, but who is looking at things from a macro standpoint.
Right.
And it really kind of helped put things in perspective for me. And I'm sure I could have done that. I'm sure I could have called Bob, or I'm sure I could have called Andrew, who was showrunner at that time, and probably had a similar conversation. But I just wanted somebody from an outsider's perspective. I just wanted kind of a different viewpoint,
right,
to help me process that.
So you couldn't come back. I mean, the Winchester's, I mean, you couldn't come back in a Supernatural spinoff, or you couldn't come back in a Supernatural movie.
Dude, it's Supernatural.
It's Supernatural.
It's Supernatural.
Of course we could. Of course.